Yeah, we are live. It is Sunday, September the 20th, 2020. This is the Sunday Night Hang. I'm your host, Ben. Of course, you knew that. I would assume you clicked on my channel, right? Or you're subscribed. You just got a notification, what have you. It is the Sunday Night Hang with myself, and tonight we're going deep with my brother from another mother, my good friend out of the greater Philly area. Kick that mule, Tom.
Nice. What's up, Ben?
Doing
What's going on, man?
well.
How you been?
Doing great. You know, things are happening here in YouTube world, and I am living the dream in many ways. Wow, we got a. Well, I'm going to just say we got a shit ton of people already in the chat here.
Oh yeah.
Dating back to almost 2 hours ago with yourself, Sandra, Terry, Triple G, Charles 75N, Nikki Ice is here. Zach Thong, happy birthday to Zach Thong.
Happy birthday, Zach. For sure.
Awesome. Good to see you. Absolute Mayhem is here. Let's see. Scrolling. Let's see. I've made it. Okay. Made it to about 20 minutes ago. Here we are. Martin Lemaire, Eddie Van Haskell, Fruitcake Tony. Rocking the Fruitcake Tony shirt tonight.
Nice.
Let's see here. Susie Cherry. I said hi to Nikki. I wasn't sure if I said hi to Susie or not. Awesome. Troy Alcorn. My knees hurt. Down and Back with Corn Dog. The #1 cornhole podcast on the whole inner Google, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure. Definitely.
BC Rich 581. Brad Miller. Let's see what else we got in here. Krenar is here. Another late night for Krenar. You crazy.
Yeah, a really late night, yeah. Thanks
RJ Ronquillo is here. Good to see brother RJ.
What's up, RJ?
Awesome. Beautiful weather in Nashville finally. Yeah. You know, it's full on fall weather. I'm sure it's the same for you, Tom.
Yeah.
Mickey Studelmeyer, Craig Tomlinson, LPD Pedals, Milt T, Thunder Falcon, Thomas Santiago, Ricky Compton, Omega Man. Man, we got all kinds of people. Bill Spruce. Awesome. So, yeah, ask away anything you guys want to talk about, you know, gear related, Bent Tom related, Browns fan related, Robot Master Switch related, Teal related.
I was trying to find, I don't think, I got stuff within reach that's Teal, but it's stuff like a trash can that appears blue on camera.
I was going to say the last Teal thing I saw was us messaging back and forth on Messenger, which our chat is teal colored.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Definitely, for sure.
Nice.
So what have you been up to today, man?
So, we're hanging out. We're having fun. Jimmy Biter just rolled in. Wow, we already got 40 people tuned in tonight. So, yeah, how have you been doing? You've been back to work.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's little kids are great, but when I work with autistic kids and they don't keep their masks on their face like they're supposed to. So basically me and my coworkers have, masks on all day and we're exposed to them, but it is what it is. So it's been busy and it's emotionally and physically draining, but great stuff.
It looks like a possible shameless plug for my cousin Doug.
Nice.
Rhymed. He was wondering, Tom, what was your thoughts on the last NAS Canucks podcast?
Let me think. I think I only caught like 3/4 or half of the last one, but my favorite part, I will tell you overall, is when you guys show off the memorabilia, because I don't know a lot about racing, but like that I can understand, like, the memorabilia, the collectibles and stuff. But to me, it's interesting to hear, something like when I hear guitar stuff, I'm like, yeah, I know that. It's fresh. Like it's all new stuff. Like I don't know a lot. So it's cool that I'm, even if you're not into racing, to me, it's cool to watch because I'm learning a lot, you know what I mean? And it's, if you're not learning, you're dying, right? If you're not growing, you're dying.
Exactly. Hey, Eric C. Good to see you.
You know where your Xbox cord is? Do you have any idea?
Nice. Got a nice crowd joining in here. Okay, here we go. RJ asks, Tom, I can't remember what guitars you were playing in college. I vaguely remember a Buddha amp.
Yeah, I had good memory. So I had the same black and gold Les Paul I have now, which I actually sold in my 20s when I was low on cash. And a friend of mine found it on Reverb a year ago and bought it for me. And I knew it was mine because I had carved my full name, not my initials, my full name in the cavity. But it was the original Les Paul Studio that my parents bought me when I was like 13 or 14. It was like a, early 90s model. So I had that when I was there. First year that RJ and I were there, or that, that we were there, I graduated high school in 95. So it was the later part of 95. And then I had a Buddha. I actually had an original Buddha. It was the Twin Master 10. And I got it from a shop in Maryland that if anyone knows about, Jeff Bober and Buddha amps, Jeff used to hang out at the shop, this little shop called East Coast Music Exchange in Catonsville, Maryland. And he would just, hang out. And he's like, yeah, this is the guy that fixes our amps. And he also, builds great amps. And I said, well, do you have any here? And the guy was like, yeah, I have one here. So I had that amp. Subsequently, I wanted, because it was only, I think, 18 watts. So I traded that back to the same store, and I traded straight up trade for a 68 first year Silverface Vibrolux reverb, but it was so it was the blue line Silverface, so it was still the blackface internals, and I had that amp at school until I left, and then RJ knows a friend of ours named Santiago Quintans, who's a Spanish guitar player, amazing guitar player. I mean, crazy good. I sold him that amp actually right before I left Miami.
Nice. Wow, we got a whole bunch of people joining
in here. I had a 5150 head in my dorm room, but that was just for me to play.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, welcome back, Eddie Van Haskell. Max Josephson joined in here. Janice is here. Randy Crooks. Rhodey's Jam Cave. Headstock Harem. Dogpa. He's asking about your wrist guitar.
Oh, the Dogpa one. I don't know if I have that one right here. Let me see. I mean, I can grab it if you want. I mean, or it's up to you.
RJ says that's right. He inherited the Vibrolux.
Well, I mean, I had no problem selling it when it was going to go to someone that I know was going to play it and use it.
Sure.
Yeah. So I ended up selling that to him, and then I think I sold the 5150 when I got home. I sold the 5150 to a friend of mine who lives in Florida now. He went to Berkeley School of Music in Boston, and I had a 5150 half stack. I sold that to him, and I think I know what I bought. I bought the amp that was my white whale. It was a 82 2204 50 watt JCM 800. But it had the 6550s, so higher headroom, punchier but cleaner sound. And I used to use just like a Digitech rack thing in front of that, and like a tube screamer, and that was it. That was a great amp. I had that one for a while too.
Nice. Hey, Dale Palmer.
But yeah, I mean, I can grab that guitar if you want. It'll take a second. It's in the other room.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I
Awesome.
think it's in the other room. I might lie. It might be in here. All right. Give me 1 second.
Welcome all joining in. Awesome. If you haven't already, please give this a thumbs up. If you're new, please subscribe. We're on the push for 2,500 subs. Nice. I myself have been playing the Wolfgang the last couple of days. It got restrung. Video out later. Finally getting back into playing. My hands are starting to feel better finally, so I can play for about half an hour at least at a time. Iroxy Blues, Electro Omega. Nice. Oh, that sounded good.
Oh, there it is. All right, now what you got to know about this guitar is it's in the process of being fixed and put back together again, but here's what it looks like anyway. It's one-piece mahogany, and like I said, it's being repaired, so it's it's got issues now. Neck through, or glued in rather, not neck through, but glued in neck. And then there's the headstock. And like I said, this is, the locking nuts off. Rosewood fingerboard.
The dog was drooling.
Yeah. But I mean, this is pretty much how it came. It had different knobs, but other than that, it's how it looked. There's some issues when I got it, this neck pickup, the leg was broken off, so that's something I have to fix. And then I was resetting up the Floyd. That's why the nut and everything else is off. But like many things, project that needs to be finished that's been going for like 6 months, or a year.
I hear you.
The case is not that. That's the case to my Strat. The original.
Hey, Brian Spaulding.
Case,
good to see you.
He said knock over something. I always knock over a Roxy Blues. I always knock stuff over. What did I knock over? Oh, my trash can.
Nice.
And that's the Strat right there that goes to this. Oh, I can't even. To this case.
Absolute Mayhem says, speaking of guitars, the LTD is going great and looking great.
Nice.
I'm glad you like that. Yeah, the final installment of that saga comes out on Wednesday, I think. Probably, since I have no demo shot, but I have 2 repair/setup videos.
I love it's got that blacked out kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Or some say the murdered out vibe. All black on black, I love that.
Fruitcake Tony says, nice shirt. Why, thank you. Yeah, this cool cat out of North Carolina sent it. Everyone should check out Fruitcake Tony's show on, Show Me Your Pick on his YouTube channel. I would say co-hosted by Steve Rosen, but apparently he's doing renovation work. But I agree with Sandra. I think he's probably sipping Mai Tais on a beach somewhere. So she's been filling in. I was watching yesterday until my internet went down. Yay.
Yeah. I had a couple people in my neighborhood must have been just like binging Netflix from every kid's room in their house, because I felt like that surge where it was like, no, my speed went down. Like, you get those certain times of the day. I know Bill Spruce said I need wall decorations, Iron Maiden posters, always work in these spaces. That's my next thing. I have to paint this room. That's why I haven't put much up. So not to turn this from like music or guitar or anything and derail it into home renovation, but I had...
Hey, it's a Sunday night hang. This is your workspace, right?
Yeah. I had rotting floors. So I had them all taken out, replaced the entire subfloor in the house except for... and I have a small house, but except for 2 of the 3 bedrooms. And so 1 bedroom into the whole rest of the house. Oh, dear Lord, Quentin. And then they put down, new hardwood flooring. So one thing at a time. Then I got to fix my bathroom because there's issues with it. And then I got to paint this wall. But that's a good idea. Maybe I'll put some posters up in the meantime. I was thinking about hanging guitars back there. I don't know, Ben. What do you think?
Hanging guitars is never a bad idea unless it depends on, how... If it's drywall, easy. Older home, plaster, forget about it.
Yeah, this is all drywall. So, and thankfully they went 16 inches on center. So it's not like I got to go one guitar 7.5 feet, another one. Like I can probably go pretty even across.
I saw a question here. Omega Man asks, is Bent Tom Canadian? You'd think so. He's awfully
in my heart. People always tell me like I'm a pushover, and I'm like, whatever happened to just being a nice person? Like, my neighbor, literally every other weekend goes to New York, to Long Beach, and says, can you watch my dog? People are like, you're always watching that dog for free. You're a pushover. But then it made it worth it, because I had one neighbor come up to me and he goes, damn, you're a good neighbor. And I was like, thanks.
Exactly.
Like you said at the end of your show, Ben, why? I mean, just be nice to people, it's.
Hey, Kirkar. Oh, we got lots of people in here. 57 people watching.
Here,
Awesome.
because Lawrence is here, I'm just going to show because I have him here because I'm trying to maneuver the stuff and put together my pedal
Would
board
that be next Sunday's guest, Lawrence Petross?
It would. And look, this is what all three of these are going on my board.
Oh, hang on. We got to present that situation. There we go. Nice.
And, you know, if you're just going to me at least, I mean, because I'm, you know, child of the, you know, 80s and some of the 90s, but, it, you know, 80s music, sure, just buy this if you like that kind of sound. But this pedal is
soon you can buy. I don't think you can currently buy an 87.
I know they must be. They're gonna become unobtainium.
Yeah, unfortunately, the parts required.
Yeah, if those go the way of like the.
Well, dang, Bill Spruce becomes a YouTube member.
Nice, Bill. Thanks. That's awesome.
Awesome. Thanks for supporting the channel.
If those go the way of the the gold and silver horsies, I don't care if they go to $2,000. I'm never selling mine because that 87's worth never selling. It's that good. Like you know
what? That's the crazy thing. Like because there is I'm gonna say I don't know how many of those Lawrence has sold, but I
almost bought another one the other day. I was starting to get worried because
we know there's a few out there. There are there's enough out there that if he ended production of it, they could get that kind of cult following in many ways.
But I want to have a backup too. I'm that neurotic. Like if I find something I like, I'll sell everything to buy one thing. If I found a guitar I liked, I'd sell, and I think I have 10 or 11 guitars. I'd sell every single one if I found something that I couldn't live without. Like that's just me. But like, for example, if I had 5 other pedals that were $200 each and someone said, oh, these 87s are $1,000 and I had for the first time played one and that's what they were, I'd sell the 5 pedals and get that. Because like, I don't know what it is. And when you first got it and you were playing, I'm like, maybe it's just like any pedal. Maybe it's just height. Maybe it's just like, it sounds bad.
No, the 87 is life-changing.
I plugged into that, and the last time I had that kind of experience, and I'm not lying, was like the first time I played a full stack when I was 13. Like, oh my, like,
right.
Wow.
Wow, we got a bunch of stuff coming in. Randy Crooks asks, so, hey, Ben, what's your member count now? I think we're either at 16 or 17 members, which is awesome.
Oh, thanks, Brian.
Hey, Christopher. I believe someone else asked, where was it? Where was it? There we go. Stephen Douglas says, can I be an honorary Canuck? You can. Become a channel member. You get like, after the first month, you get a toque next to your name. And, anybody with a toque next to their name, they're good in my books.
Now, the toque, just to be sure, is the one with no ball. Am I correct? Because
no, it has a ball.
Oh, it does? Okay.
With or without, it's still a toque, in my opinion. Some people say that's the definition between, a beanie and a toque. But beanie has a propeller as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, when I hear beanie, to me, I think propeller. And now, in the U.S., they always sell what I would consider a toque and call it a beanie. I'm like, that's not a beanie in my mind.
That's right.
And
apparently it's the silver unicorn solder that makes the 87 so great.
Quentin James said the 87's life-changing. I you not. I actually got a killer SRV hot rodded tone out of it. Yeah, I agree.
We have a new person here in the chat, the grandiloquent guitarist.
Nice reading.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad he showed up in the first hour and not 2 hours in. I'm new here. Are you guys in a band? I haven't been in a band in about 1.5 years myself. We're not in a band together. But where can I hear your music? I have some music on the YouTube channel under the live music playlist. What does being a member mean? It means you can help support me keep on doing what I'm doing. Keeping on trucking, as they say, which is why we got that as one of the special emojis.
And you get early release member only videos sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, it's more, just strictly members only. They're not even early release. They're just strictly members only.
Right. Yeah, the new one was members only. Yep. Got that
Dan, New Jersey's dropped in here. And I'm going to scroll up because I saw somebody had commented from the West Coast. Who was that? I know Milton asked what the guitar is behind you.
Oh, this one?
That Stratocaster shaped object, perhaps?
It doesn't have strings, but I can show you. And I'll explain why it doesn't have strings in it.
Looks like Crenard's headed out. See you, man. Get some sleep.
Have a good sleep, Crenard. So there's a reason it doesn't have strings and it only has 5 tuning keys, because I literally was putting this together from the parts an hour and a half ago. So this is the original 69 Strat that I refinished because it had a god-awful paint job. You can see I got pretty close to mirror finish. You can see a little reflection there.
Looks better than that Ibanez Steve was showing off.
But I left the cavity, bare so you could see it, but
Right.
The rest of it's all original.
And that's a 69?
69, yeah. Now I will tell you that the logo is a reproduction. I redid the logo, put on a new logo because the old one was shot. And then I just shot some nitro over the front of it, but I didn't clean this up. I left all the wear and everything else that was
nice
on there.
Metalworks, there we are, Vancouver Island. Nice.
So I was just rewiring this up today and getting it all set up and ran out of time. So didn't
Original
get
pickups?
the strings on. These, unfortunately, are not the original pickups. One of them, or I should say, okay, so the neck pickup's original, which to me is the most important in a vintage Strat.
Exactly.
The middle pickup,
it's the one that counts. Well, it's like the bridge pickup in a Les Paul.
Yeah. The middle and the bridge are Lindy Fralin Vintage Hots, which I love. I've had them, I think I bought these almost 20 years ago, like 2001, 2002.
Hey, metalhead hippie.
When he was selling them, and I saw like an article or whatever in Guitar Player magazine, not knowing at the time, that the way that they worked, that, they rated some of their stuff based on, anyway, let's not get into that. But they were great pickups anyway. And I took a shot on them and they sound good. The neck, I think, is like 5.6K. And I think the Lindy Fralins are close to 6. So they were the closest match. But, on Reverb, they want $750 per pickup for 69 originals. And I'm like,
yeah, no. No.
So the neck's original, the other two are
It's
not.
different if you happen to have like even a player grade that needed a couple of pickups, but you've got a refin. Like, what's the point?
Once you refin, just make it player,
Yeah.
Same thing. I have the originals in the case. This is the original bridge, but I put on these wood tone saddles, WUDTON. And what they do is they loop the screw under and they shorten it so you don't get the bite from the screws. They're recessed. And it was, I think RJ knows there's an amazing guitarist out of Nashville named Kevin Eknes. I don't know if you've ever seen his YouTube channel.
Okay.
He is, I think he's Scandinavian, I want to say. He's from either from Sweden or I'm embarrassed to say because it's completely different countries, but somewhere in Scandinavia. But he lives in Nashville now. Amazing guitar player. And he plays mostly like Strandbergs and that kind of guitar and 7 strings and fan frets and stuff. But he has actually a 69 Strat that he got, and he made some changes on it. So that was one of the things he changed to these high woods. The wood tone is part of the bridge, but the high wood are the saddles. I'm getting confused. There you go. I don't know if you've ever seen these, Ben, but so they're basically
the high woods
placements, and then this is their big thing: no more hand palm injuries where you're and you get that.
Lawrence turned me on to those.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I really changed. That, and like I said, 2 of the pickups are not correct, but anyway. And the tuners, I have the original tuners, but I put these in because I don't know if you've seen these.
Kevin's now in LA, by the way.
Nice.
According to LPD.
Kluson makes these, which they fit exactly where a 66 to 69 would go, or a 70s, and they go right in the same slots, but they're locking.
Nice.
Yeah, so, but that's the only change I really.
Hey, William De Silva.
Did on that.
And yeah, Kevin's from Norway.
Norway, that's it. Yeah. I should know I'm part Norwegian. I think I'm like.
So he's a Viking.
I think I'm 40% Norwegian. according to my DNA, which who knows, right?
Uh-oh, we have an invasion.
Oh, there he is. What's up, dude?
Guys,
What's going on, man?
just a quick little preview for Ben.
Apparently, someone didn't pause his playback before jumping in.
Oh. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That is the kind of preview I like. That's my kind of preview.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, I heard. So I've from what you showed us, I assume you're quite the horticulturist.
Now, in Canada, it's legal. You're allowed 4 plants per household in Ontario.
No, I know, but I mean, like, just quality-wise, that was nice stuff. That's what I meant.
And that's because Ben's seen pictures, but that's the bottom shitty branch that I just wanted to see if it's ready. That's
Wow.
That's a nothing branch.
Wow.
Just to put it in hindsight or perspective, the corn is like what 9-10 feet tall this year.
Yeah, I got a corn crop right out behind me here.
But
William De Silva just finished trimming himself 5 minutes ago.
Nice. That's
Omega Man asks, "Have I heard Guitar Hack's new American Performer Telly? It sounds great." Yeah, they're a great line of guitars and 20% cheaper than Professional, which is the standard. So I don't know what corners they cut for that kind of price drop, or it just tells you the Professional is that much overpriced compared because they're both US made. So
I bet you is it maybe one thing? Is it like it's a slightly different pickup model or something?
maybe slightly less choice wood.
Like
we're literally tight. It's probably like if a Pro Series is it wouldn't even be. The Ultra Series would be the 10 out of 10.
Okay.
So the Pro would be a 9 out of 10. So it's going to be an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And in a live situation, anything over a 6 or a 7, you can't tell anyway.
Well, yeah, I think I'm being drastic there. It'd be more like a 10, a 9.5, and a 9, because you know, then you get into the Venturas. They're made in Mexico, but they're the highest end, so they'd be an 8.5. Then your Player Series is an 8. You know, like.
And if you're not a guitar player, as long as it plugs in and makes sound, it doesn't matter if it's a 1 or a 10. Like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you're the person in the audience at the show, you know.
Quentin, hashtag Gomercaster.
There you go.
Exactly.
Omega Man said, just say no to kids. Oh, man.
Some things you wish you'd known 30 years ago, but not so much.
I got to give Quentin this line, too. Quentin James said, I'm high just looking at that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I had to put it in a box that smells so bad. I'll put it in the garage later on. But yeah, it's potent.
And people wonder how I work on so many Mayhem's guitars and how he's able to afford all these setups all the time.
The trade system is strong.
Yeah,
I love barter work. I think it's the best. I think you get the best deal for both people, you know.
And it's a good way to get those control covers off too.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Just bump. Just do that in a video. Just don't even say anything. Don't reference it.
But Ben, where we are, we're spoiled anyway because I mean, 20 minutes from us is like
literally smack dab between our two houses.
Yeah. There's more dispensaries per inch than anywhere on the planet. I even like maybe Amsterdam. I don't know.
Well, Bill Spurs says so. Get a Performer and replace the pickups.
Yeah,
you could do that. I don't know, because even the Mexican stuff, I don't see the point in paying the extra dinero unless it's a cool color or happens to come with a cool set of pickups, or
right.
You know, like a standard telly. A telly is a telly to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you honestly, I wouldn't have bought a vintage, you know, or even a CBS era, you know, Strat like the one I have, if it wasn't an insanely amazing deal because it had these problems, because it was missing pickups, because it needed things.
Sure.
I just don't see the value myself, you know. I mean, unless you're making, you know, crazy rock star money.
Right.
Difference.
Or it's going to be your one and only.
Yeah. Then I get that. If that's, you know, if that's what you play.
How many of us have a one and only?
Yeah. Which I heard an interesting thing today. I don't know if any of you caught on Pete Thorne's stream. Obviously, you were there, Ben. I watched it later because I was with my parents hanging out today.
Yeah, that was great with Josh.
And I wanted to catch it live. And, you know, RJ can attest to this. I remember seeing, I only went once. I know probably RJ probably went a bunch of times, but I only went once with a classmate of ours who was playing drums with Josh Smith at the time, and went and saw him. And he was probably, I don't know, 16, 17, 18 at the time, and like blew my mind then. Like, how's this young kid already playing like this? But he was saying, I noticed that he was like, I can't talk about it, but he's got a signature guitar coming out. I found that very...
Yes. And how kick-ass was his tone coming through? And that was StreamYard.
I think RJ said it best. That guy never plays a bad note. He just doesn't. He's like not human. You know, even
and that whole diminished chord thing to bridge, I like, you know, most of the 99% just goes over my head, but I retained enough that I'm just like, so if I play blues and I use diminished chords to bridge, even just playing regular blues, all of a sudden it sounds like jazz.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool. I don't understand why, but it does. And okay.
Well, and to be at that level, and he's so freaking humble. You know,
I met him the first time I was at NAMM. He was ironically, he was hanging out with Ariel and
that's another killer
Joey Landreth. Like, you know, it was funny because them, Kurt Fletcher, you know, it's like this group of musicians that all became famous because of Andertons, at least on my radar. And then, and they all know each other, and they kind of have this thing going on, this little pocket community within their, and they're all super talented players. And I saw them all hanging out together. I'm just like, hey, this is.
There's not a bad one in that bunch. I mean, they're all like one sicker than the next. I mean, it's like you can't really, you know, they're all at that level. You know, like
go ahead, Wayne.
I was saying that about Sammy Bowler. Like remember we met him in Toronto.
Yep.
I mean, he's inhuman. And I was telling Ben, I've even watched the video slow motion, and when he's doing all the tapping finger work, it's dead center on each string, on each finger. Like it's you know, like next level kind of guitar playing. Really, I mean,
you're a nerd like me, Wayne. I've done it too. I slowed it down, and like some players, you'll see it's like, oh, they barely almost went off the fretboard.
Yeah,
it's almost like they would show you on an instructional video, like he's perfectly where he needs to be on the fret. He's perfectly where every finger needs to be. Like you can slow it down in slow motion and it's not garbled. It's like every note's perfect. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, I was blown away by it. I mean, I thought, oh, you know, he's just playing fast and clean, right? Like how many takes is that? But when you watch him play like you know, 1,000 notes in like a minute or whatever it is, every time you pause it and watch it, they're dead center. You know,
let alone watching him like live. It's
right. Yeah, we got to see him right.
He doesn't have to do 50 takes to do these videos, you know, type thing. And you know, I've been fortunate to just watch him sitting there noodling, you know, and
the one video you had, I don't know if it was your video or someone else's video that you were in, Ben, from this year at NAMM, and he was sitting there near you, and you were like, "What?" Either you or someone else, because there's 3 or 4 people there, you know, with him, and it was either in that Friedman room or close to it. And I remember someone was like, "What were you playing there?" And he's like, "I don't know. I was making it up." Like it was nothing, and it was like something. It sounded like something that had been worked out. And he was like, "I don't know, just noodling." Yeah. I'm like, all right, I'm quitting.
That's why. That Friedman room. You know, you walk in, it's like I don't even want to look at a guitar, let alone play in there.
Rappaport's in there every year playing like Van Halen from the first couple albums, like note for note perfect. And he's like, wait, what's that song I haven't played for 12 years? And then he plays the whole solo to the tune.
I mean, phenomenal.
This year, Joshua Jones was in there tearing it up a bunch. You know, Caleb was in there tearing it up. Sammy, of course. And then, you know, and then when they're doing it in between, George Lynch stops in and he's got to check out the latest stuff. And you know, he's not going to just sit there and play cowboy chords. You're just like, what is going on here?
So I heard when Lynch was there, and you can confirm this because I didn't hear the whole story, and I'm sure there's better parts to the story, but I heard Caleb just talking about when Lynch was there, and he's like, "You're that guy in that Van Halen thing, right? And he was like, Nerd Halen? He goes, yeah. What's
Kind of.
It's Honeyacc. He wanted to know what it was.
Yeah. What started out was Caleb went in there and Dave said, hey, I got someone to meet you. And then he called George over and he's like, this is Caleb of Nerd Halen. You got to check him out, blah, blah. And it was Dave that's sent him up. And then he was like, cool. Oh, yeah. And then being the gearhead that Lynch is, he's like, use like the Honeyacc, don't you? And he's like, yeah, I do. So yeah, I wouldn't mind checking that out type thing. And if you know George, when he
George
gets a piece of your gear he likes, you're not getting it back.
Yeah, well, that's what Dave Friedman was saying. He said that he has the best Old Park 50-watt Plexi Marshall and 100-watt Plexi Marshall pretty much that he's ever heard.
Yep.
Hey, Dwight. He go and he, he's like, I don't know how he got those, but he traded them and kept getting them. And he said the ones he has now, he said, are like insane.
That's how they trade off to pick a destiny, right? It's like some other gear comes along. It's like that amp and that,
Yeah.
That speaker cab doesn't turn it off.
Exactly.
Well,
one can hope.
Ben, I was gonna say the other person that really kind of surprised me, we start saying what's your favorite guitarist and all that. A lot of times, it's like everybody knows, but the one person that was for me was Larry Mitchell. I mean, that just I'm like, how come I don't know who he is? Like, how come I don't know his songs? But
Yeah. Larry is a special talent because he can cover a lot of bases and do it very well. Like, I think he would be a great, he is a great session player, as well as doing his own stuff. He's a great producer too. He's got a great ear and a hell of a nice guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy.
And inspiring.
Those guys are humble. Those guys are really humble.
There's something too, anytime when I watch his stream or see him on something, there's something about Larry he has this inner peace. Like he almost seems like at a higher spiritual level than the average person.
I know what you mean.
Like it's not just humbleness, but it's like this presence of just peacefulness and like everything's gonna be fine, brother. Like
Dana's got to meet Larry.
Oh, cool.
That's very nice. And thanks, Sandra, for putting the links in the chat here. Terry says Larry is awesome. Yeah. Literally when I think of Larry Mitchell, I always think, and I've said on here before, the one live stream from this year's NAMM when we're leaving the Hilton, and JJ's driving, Aaron's being crazy in the back seat. We pull up like first set of lights, and JJ sees Larry walking across the crosswalk. He's like, hey, Larry. And Larry just boom. I'm like, put down the window. Hey, Larry. Hey, Ben. Hey, you live streaming? Hey, YouTube. It's just, that's Larry. Hey, you have to do a set. Yeah, man. What are you up to? Well, we're about to take him home, type thing. And it's just like, and I think that was the Wednesday. So that was even the night before NAMM. So he was getting in early, doing his thing. And he's a busy guy. Wow.
Yeah, he was talking about like 5 different projects, 4 or 5 things he was juggling at once, producing. And I think it's cool because he does so many different types of music too. He was talking about like, doing pop type or more like new age stuff. He was working with some artists producing, and he just is so eclectic,
It's the mojo of the cowboy hat.
Yeah. Well, that's the first picture I remember of him at those old Ibanez ads with that cowboy hat. And I was like, who's that crazy dude? And then I listened to him. I was like, oh, he can wear any cowboy hat he wants because he rips. Like
he can wear a chef's hat if he wants, right? Like,
whatever
you want.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%. Thank you, Sandra. I need to put more stuff up. She put something up to subscribe to my channel. I don't know if there's much on there. Maybe that'll give me a kick in the butt.
Yeah, you got some cool stuff. You were putting some stuff up there.
My toughest thing is
springtime, but then things got kind of hectic. You've been pretty hectic this summer.
Yeah.
Which is good. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, David Ennis.
Busy.
So, Ben, I don't know if you know, but that Kiss poster, it's an original, like it's a 78 or 79 poster. It was on some guy's in his garage, and he was retiring, and they're selling the house, and he was getting, it was like a yard sale. My daughter was just happened to go by, and she's like, "Is a poster for sale?" And he's like, "Oh, you can have that." He goes, "My dad's gonna freak out." He goes, "Oh yeah, I got that when I was a kid."
Wow.
So it's like it's a little beat up more than you can see. I'd love to put it in a frame just because it's like an original poster from that year. It's not like a reprint.
Yeah.
It's like
from 79.
Is that what year that is? I could
Yes,
never
the
find that
Dynasty
exact.
album cover.
Okay. But yeah, that's
Look
when I remember.
out.
Boner.
The sexiest menage a trois on YouTube. Ben, Bent, and Mayhem. Love you guys. Have a great week, everyone.
Nice.
We're going deep. We're going deep tonight, folks.
Just for that, I'll step off camera here real quick.
Dang.
I'd almost get it signed if I could, but I don't know if that'd even kind of. But yeah,
well, let's see.
On some guy's garage door.
3 of the signatures would be quite affordable to get. You'd have to pay through the nose for a 4th one. I'm going to let you figure out which band member would charge the most.
Your hint is the 4th one, and I cannot do this like Neanderthal or Mancoot or anyone, but it would cost a nominal fee.
Yeah.
He'll probably claim he invented signatures.
Yeah.
And the pen.
Yeah.
And the pen and the ink that's in the pen.
Yeah.
I invented writing. They said it was the Sumerians, but actually it was me when I time traveled. Thanks, Bonner James. That's awesome, man.
I was actually going to give it to Ben at one point, but then, it's like, because I'm like, I like Kiss.
I have to look. I still have somewhere, and it's in rough shape. When the 4 solo albums came out, the original pressings came with a poster. Only the initial pressing, and they do an initial pressing of, I think, 10,000 units in the 70s, I think. And then a second pressing is usually 100,000 units. That's the way it went, because you don't know if it's going to be, a flop or not.
Right.
But the first 10,000, each came with a poster. On one side of the poster was a cartoon drawing of that band member. And then on the back side was 4 corners you'd put together for this one giant poster. And so I only got one of the original pressings. I got the Ace Frehley album, go figure. And so I have that poster here somewhere. I got to dig that out.
Yeah,
Sandra remembers those?
It's like my tuner that fell off the desk. I got to find that to finish putting that, guitar to use.
It's either that or Open G. It's one or the other.
Or I could just have mismatched tuners. Like, who was the guy that had the banjo tuner? Was that did Eddie do that? Someone did that for a short period of time on one of their guitars.
Well, Ace had banjo tuners on his Les Paul.
There you go. Maybe that's one.
And a lot of guys had, the low E, you would have a hip shot. So banjo tuner, so you could go to drop D.
That was it, yeah.
Way before there was a D tuna, folks.
Yeah.
It's a little device that, boom, to drop it.
Also works on a Les Paul, too.
Yeah, and those things are not cheap. They're hard to find, and they're not cheap. Quentin asks, question for all. You think there will be a winter NAMM in 2022? God, I hope so.
I hope. Even if there's no chance of me going, I still hope there is.
You're going, Tom. You're going.
I hope we're at that point. If I've got the cash, I definitely will.
We'll figure it out.
Well, you know what?
I would love to hang out with you at NAMM, dude.
Oh,
and Mayhem as well. But I know Mayhem's like responsible and stuff in life, and
I'm responsible when I need to be.
Well, you are, but you're also Bent Tom.
Yeah.
It'd almost be a good road trip.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, just if Ben and I left from Canada and just logged in and did the whole YouTube.
I think Nashville would be much more doable. That's what I was thinking. Like, because Nashville, it's so much more laid back and stuff and being in the summertime, like you wouldn't be working necessarily, Tom, right? Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
definitely, yeah. And that is like road trip distance, especially like if we drove down, picked you up on, and then just swung across.
If I drove to my parents, because my parents live west of where I am, my parents are almost directly south of you. You could literally just pick me up at theirs or close to theirs, and keep going.
Right.
Say, we've been driving enough. Go ahead. You're driving for a while.
Adrian Legg has banjo tuners on his Ovation. He uses them during the songs.
Another
nice
player.
Blackjack Guitar Nuts here. Michael Kroos with that comment. Awesome. 63 people watching. Oh, well, I'm not off camera. What you going to do? Said we're going deep tonight.
So, Tom, is there any guitar you kind of always are looking for? I mean, for me, just because I know I wouldn't say it's rare around here, but Ben's Mexican Telly, I've already got 2. but I never see that version where it's got the two humbuckers and the split coil in it. There's tons and tons of Telecasters everywhere I look, but that one version of it, even though I mean I already have Telecasters.
Yeah, and the weird thing is you never see them with. You see them with the chrome covered pickups that may or may not have coil tap. I've even seen it with double black bobbins once, but I've never seen it with the black and the chrome bobbins. Like that was the 1 year, I guess. And even then, any other finishes other than the Arctic White, it seems to have the double chrome.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen just that version of the model, let alone, pick up cover bobbin colors.
Right. So was it only 1 year, or was it a limited run, or do you know how, like, was it a time thing, or was it only a certain amount they made? You know what I mean?
Exactly. I have no.
Yeah, we don't know. We're not.
Or
sure.
there could be some, warehouse in like Taipei that they shipped for all of Asia, and then they never disseminated them.
Well, see, the weird thing is at that time. No, we're talking Canadian prices,
right?
I'm thinking a Mexican Tele, because the Player Series wasn't out yet, and they came in at 900.
Right.
I think a Mexican Tele was 7.25 range, and that one was 819.
Okay.
So it was an upgraded model of some kind,
Right. Yeah, it was definitely like a special edition or upgraded edition or something from what it, from the evidence, it seems like that anyway.
Boner James asked if either of us have heard any of the new Deftones. I have not.
No, but
my buddies
Discord.
Well, apparently it either drenches your panties or your boxers, so I'm definitely checking it out now.
Yep. Nice.
But I have not. I definitely will have to check that out.
Terry says my pricing sounds about right from what I remember. Well, I partook less in other stuff at that time because I was working multiple jobs.
So Tom, for you, it's just a random guitar. I mean, it could have been anything, right? But this is what I look for, just because I never.
Yeah. So there's nothing like there's no like $50,000 or $2,000 or $500 guitar I want. There's one that's not that expensive but hard to find that I'm looking for, and the only reason is not because it's an amazing guitar. They're decent, but it's for sentimental reasons. When I was in high school, I bought, of all companies, it's a Washburn, but for a while Washburn was doing a USA custom shop.
Okay.
And apparently, and maybe this is all made up, but a lot of their builders, they were either sharing or getting people that had been at like Charvel and Jackson and knew how to make stuff.
Right.
Way that some of the production Washburn stuff was not getting made, and they're like, yeah, this is crap. So for only a couple years in the 90s, they made a USA series. Now they made ones that said Washburn USA that were made overseas, but the actual ones that are made in the USA say Washburn. It says made in USA on the headstock.
Okay.
And I think I paid at the time, it wasn't cheap. It was 92, and I think I paid $1,400 for it in 1992. I mean, this was like today what would be like a $3,000 or $4,000 guitar.
Sure.
And I saved mowing lawns all summer. It was a blue quilted top on a basswood body. So it was taken off of that Van Halen, like basswood maple top kind of thing. And Floyd, I think it was a Schaller or a Godot, maybe licensed Floyd, maple neck, but it was quarter sawn, beautiful neck, like a C shape, but it was like a real flat. I think it was like either a 12-inch or maybe 12 to 16 radius, real flat Floyd, and it was single hum, 5-way switch, volume tone. And it's not that it was a great guitar, it played okay, but it's nostalgic for me.
Sure.
And I sold it for like $200 or something because I was $200 short when I wanted to buy the Marshall head, the 2204 I bought. So it was like, I'm not using it anymore that much, and I really want this Marshall. And he's like, well, you're short.
Hey, Michael,
what if I throw in this guitar? And at that point, when I got the Marshall, no one wanted this Washburn guitar, so I was like, I got to eat the loss, and I wish I hadn't done that. So I would love to have that specific one back. I would take anyone from that series, but it's the so you guys can all look for them and then buy it and gallop the price and charge me more. No, I'm just kidding. Go for it. But anyway, they're the Yamaha Mercury series is what they were called, and they're listed as MG. You'll see MG or Mercury series. Now they made MG 30, 40, 50 series. those are either cheaper, affordable student or overseas models. The ones you really want are the MG 100 series, like 130, 120, 140, like quilted maple tops that are a real, you know, angled top at a real 1/4-inch piece, not just a photo. And you know, they were nice guitars, but like I said, I paid $1,400 in 1993. I don't know what I was thinking, but you know, I mowed lawns all summer and I bought it. It was brand new. I mean, glossy on the rack, you know. Mistakes.
Nothing wrong with that.
I can't find the first
65 people watching.
Well, I probably could have bought like a decent old Strat at that point for probably $2,000 if I just saved a little more money. You know, I could have bought. I think there was for $2,500. I think there was a '63 Strat there. So if I just
what year are we talking, Tom?
92, 91, 92. I mean, it was beat to shit. It was like a player grade.
For like $2,500, you could get a CBS
and the
Strat.
guy, I wonder if he still does. The same shop where Jeff Bober, you know, would do the repairs. It's right across the street. If anyone lives near there, it's right across the street from a big place called Bill's House of Music in Catonsville, Maryland. And Bill's House of Music is famous because the guy that ran the thing, that was one of the part owners, was friends with Danny Gatton. And if you ever go in there, if he's ever there, the guy's getting up in years now. He's a freaking amazing country jazz, you know, hot rodded Danny Gatton kind of bluegrass, everything telly guy. And he goes, yeah, I know Danny. He said, unfortunately, you know, we lost Danny, but he was a good friend of mine. And he just pulls out like a brand new off the shelf Mexican telly and just blows my mind, you know. Boner jams coming in hot.
Can't stop laughing. You can read that one, Tom.
The new Dark Lord of the Spliff, Ben Coombs. Darth Vader. Hey, Michael Easter.
Where's another drink?
So any guitar for you, Ben? I mean, is there something that you're... I mean, it's just like, you know, for whatever reason, you just try and find that guitar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a list of, let's say, 8 probably, you know, the wish list. You know, Gibson ES 175, but it has to be the right one. Probably
Steve Howe,
either the Tobacco Burst or all black.
All black.
Yeah, you know, like Izzy Stradlin plays.
I knew it.
Yeah, go figure. You know, hardtail Strat, because Ronnie Wood has one. Probably a 335 as well, because the semi-hollow does sound different than the full hollow.
Yep.
That's a good version of that guitar, though.
Yeah.
The Ibanez that I've got, it's a really good version of the 335.
Yeah.
I'd like a Charvel, like probably an OG. You know, like I played Jay's 80 Charvel, and you know, you don't see Charvels around here, and so basically other than a handful I play at NAMM shows because nobody carries them locally for whatever reason. I've only played his 80s one, and I was like, whoa, yeah, I get it. This is awesome. You know, I want one so bad.
Yeah. Now, Ben, you got to explain to everyone in the chat, that's anyone who maybe wasn't around the scene at that time, or just, you know, might be younger viewers in their, you know, 20s, 30s, or I don't know what ages people are, what it was like when you could just go into a store and, you know, no one wanted them. Like a rack of like 80 Charvels, and they're like $199, $299. Oh, mint condition, $399. Like,
well, that's the thing. Like around here,
that's a little problem. Like,
yeah, when I started playing around here, as far as shredder guitars available, you could buy Charvettes or the equivalent Jacksons, which were pretty much garbage as well.
Yeah,
they never sold. You know, the handful that sold, you never saw them on the secondary market. So if you wanted any kind of a shred guitar, you had to drive into the city. And there was no secondary until like the early 90s. You'd start all of a sudden seeing a handful of RGs. And we're talking not even 550s, you know, like whatever the lowest, you know, the lowest of the low.
Is it a 3 or 2?
3 or 4.
Yeah.
You know, or the EX, like the one I sold to Wayne.
I had one for a while. Yep.
that was the Ibanez in the area. The reason I bought it, and I asked the guy, "Hey, do you still own it?" Because you just didn't see him around, and I wanted a shredder guitar.
Yeah.
Basically, around here it was all Gibsons and Fenders, and then cheap Area Pro, whatever Tokai. That there was nothing really in between of that because we had a longtime Fender dealer in the area, and the Ardens was basically PV equipment and student guitars. So the Charvettes, a lot of Hondos, Profiles, and none of that stuff survived.
Yeah.
More than a handful of years. So
I would love to see if it was possible for, like a programmer or computer scientist. I used to work doing some data analysis, and it would be interesting if people could collect enough grassroots data and I know a lot of people wouldn't want to be involved because people don't want to know if they've got expensive stuff, what they have. But just even in a general geographic region, if you could say, okay, I'm within 100 miles this way, 100 miles this way, or 50 miles this way and that way. So you're not giving away your location. And I've got these types of guitars or whatever. And so you can see, because it's interesting to see, like, for example, I was looking up old RG 550s and the 540 Sabres because I had both of those as a teenager. And I thought, I could probably get one cheap. I didn't realize how much those went up in price, the originals. I'm like, no, I can't afford to just pick one up for the fun of it anymore now. Whereas,
so check out that number. Just following up on the number of 87s have been sold, 250-ish. See, wow. That's enough.
Yeah.
That there could always be one or two floating around. You have the one guy that's asking $1,000 right off the bat on Reverb.
No one's going to want to give it up.
Yeah. A few on eBay. Start bidding.
Gets the parts, maybe he's going to have to, like Mike Piera did on some of his stuff. He wasn't, he said the wait list is so long and I have so much stuff. Like my cost has increased. I'm not, but still, I think I waited and I got my, I have a Analog Man red dot, NKT red dot, because NKT 275 ones, it sounds so close to me at least, and I'm, an amateur at best. And it was way cheaper, but I think, and I was on a waiting list for over a year, but I think
I was going to say, I discovered Analog Man, I want to say 10 years ago. And I've never known that company to not have a waiting list on at least a couple pedals in their inventory at any given time. I get it.
I think I paid $250 or $300 because you get, like, if you pay at the time, that's what you get. So even if you wait 2 or 3 years and it doubles in price or something happens, you're still guaranteed that price. They might not have the chip, the germanium transistors left. But anyway, so I was able to get one of those at the, the old price. I think mine was $250 or something. And I think they're $325 now. And people were complaining, like, dude, you realize as soon as these sell for $325, the dude's going to go, or the dude or dudette, the man or woman's going to go and put it on, if they don't want to use it themselves, on Reverb or eBay and get $400 or $500 for it. Mm-hmm. So I figured when my number came up, I'm like, well, I don't really want to spend that money on it now, but I'm like, I can put it on eBay and get my money out of it tomorrow if I want to.
Sure.
Or Reverb or whatever. But it's a weird thing when you got like parts that are starting to become less and less available, and unobtainium happens,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Spruce is asking, Mayhem, is the black guitar under the Kiss poster an LTD ESP?
Yeah, that's the one that Ben fixed. Yep.
Hey, Preston Smith.
What's up, Preston?
Harley's in here. Awesome. Old man Dan, good to see you.
Nice. I said you want me to show it, but you've got a bunch of videos and they're nice and clear because you're probably on your camera.
All right. Then again, you show it on a fuzzy camera. Yeah, look at that finish. Yeah, it looks great.
But yeah, you also brought the Mojo back in it. I don't know what it needed, but it needed something. But
did you already have 10s on it when you gave it to me?
I don't remember.
Because I did a lot of work to it to get it to be balanced once I put 10s on it. I know that.
Yeah. I forget why I stopped playing it. I mean, it there's no fret noise, but it's a heavy guitar.
Hey, David Nesdahl.
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Everyone should check out his. Oh man, his terrible with name, Steve Lynch. This past Thursday from Autograph, that was a kick-ass show.
That was a killer interview. Yeah. Very good.
Hey, Dave.
Yes. And I believe Ty will be back next week. Mancuda filled in as co-host. It was pretty cool. He was quite behaved.
You could tell he was like a true fan, you know, that's his wheelhouse, that music, because
exactly.
Questions were just like, I think he could have gone for another 4 hours, but they were all, I mean, Dave and John, awesome questions and just great interview.
So Tom, what's your go-to guitar now when you go to play? What's
your
go-to?
Honestly, I'll show you. This is usually what I pick up. And I forget who was saying it the other day, but I'm the weirdo too. I got all these amps, all these pedals, everything. 80% of the time I never plug it in. So it's a LSL Satakoi.
Okay.
This is kind of how it looked when it was brand new, except this was not like, you know, that worn. This wasn't Relic.
Right.
And then this happened to the back of the neck. So I've had this like 6.5 years, but this is
why, like, if Tom goes on tour and says, "Hey, can I borrow your guitar?" No.
Say no. I have a
acid hands.
Yeah, I do.
I don't have that. I'm blessed, I guess.
I can if I play a guitar for 10 or 15 hours, the strings are done.
Really? Wow.
And usually it's less. I mean, I've had one where I put a new set of strings on and I played like maybe, you know, it was when we were, you know, doing nothing, pandemic, doing nothing, whatever. I don't know what words are appropriate to say on YouTube, but sitting at home, and I think I played 8 hours one day and 4 hours the next, and like 2 or 3 on a Sunday. And by that weekend, they were done. That's it. Because they start to, I get like little bits of rust.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
What if there's a coating you put on the strings, like an oil?
Well, I always wondered that. It's really weird though, because I have such
try those XT strings.
Yeah, I never tried those. I should, but I have such acidic sweat. But
yeah, but they lasted me. Well, Wayne knows I had those on my #1 for a year.
I mean, I've literally had people like I play the guitar for a day and they're like, "Dude, that's not cool. Like, you got to buy me a set of strings." I'm like, "Sorry, dude." Like,
superpower. Go to the guitar store. Hey, Tom, I want to buy that guitar. Go play it for half an hour. So when I go to play it.
So look at this thing. It's Relic. Like, you got to be charging used on this.
You know when you get one that someone left in their basement and the strings almost feel rusted?
Yeah, right. I know what you mean.
A year to get like that? No, it doesn't take like a year.
Yeah, I guess that's at the pawn shop. Yeah, sometimes you'll see that, right? Like the Dean Strat style that we got. Remember that one, Ben, that I paid $45 for? Japanese Dean from like I think early 2000s. I think it was 2001. It looked like junk, and polished it, cleaned it up. It's like one of my nicer guitars. Everybody wants to play it.
Hey, Steve Carmichael.
But yeah, I always thought it was the age. Yeah, because the guy had really acidic hands.
Well, have you seen? You know who has very, very acidic? What's the sweat? You know, but you know who has very? It happens up here too. But this one, it hasn't worn through that much here. But you know who has very acidic hands? That's a million times better musician and player than me. But just that I met last year, Philip Sace. That mother Strat he has. If you see pictures, it looked brand new. And I think up until 2 years ago, there was still some paint through here. Go watch his Instagram from like last week. There's no paint. There's no paint up here. None.
Hey, pedal room.
I asked him that when I met him after the show, and I said, "I have very acidic sweat. Do you have the same thing?" And he said, he's such a cool guy. And he was like, "Yes, brother, I do. I have that affliction." I said, "Do you go through strings a lot?" And he's like, "You would not believe it." He said, "That's the only endorsement I care about is strings and picks." Because he was throwing out picks, and he gave me a pick. He, you know, like for a blues type player, he does pick slides up and down more than any blues player I've seen. And he gets these because he uses pretty thin ones. They were like, I think they're like 0.6 or 0.7.
Hey, Steve Anderson's here.
And there's gouges in the pick he gave me. Like, it's definitely not one you're going to put up on the wall, you know?
Used and abused.
Well, I kind of have a tendency to do that to picks.
Well, I never tried that. And I've just been trying that lately. He said, light pick, attack hard. And I had always, you know, tried to use a heavier pick and play lighter. And he said, no, light pick and like slam it, just hit it like you're, but I said, I was joking with him real quick, because he was the most gracious person. He played for 2 hours and 15 minutes. It was like a Wednesday night.
Right.
And he said, I'm so appreciative you guys came out here. You probably have to work in the morning when I'll be asleep. And he was right, but he goes, I'm so appreciative. They drove like hours. He drove himself. The band drove in cars, played this little place near me in Ardmore, PA. And he was, if you guys know, if you follow Nick, I don't know how you say his last name, Sevigny, or Sevigny. Nick, he has a channel. He does guitar repair stuff. He's a great player, like blues, kind of Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff and everything. But he's personal friends with Philip Sace. So he brought his amp to the show, which is like a brown face Fender Pro for Philip to play through, because the Hot Rod DeVille or Deluxe, whatever that was the backline amp, blew up.
Yep. Yeah.
So he was playing on a partially dying Fender Pro that Nick was going and being his tech and literally adjusting tubes between songs and switching out tubes when they would get too noisy between songs. And that was proof to me that this is where it is right here, because on an amp that wasn't his, and he had 3 or 4 pedals, one of which was Line 6 DL4 was his only delay, was an old Line 6 digital delay, and it sounded amazing.
Nice. Hey, there's my sister Amanda. Good to see you. Sis.
What's up, Amanda?
Nice. Thanks again, Sandra, for providing the links in the chat.
I was just going to say thank you very much.
Steve Carmichael, Steve Anderson, Dave Nesdahl. We got all the cool kids jumping in here. And a waiting list of 35 on the 87 currently, and none showing up on Reverb or eBay.
Yeah.
So whenever I get on and we have an American, I always ask, what's your favorite Canadian band besides Rush?
I have, like, there's a couple that I'm deciding between, but it depends. I guess it's tough because different types of music. Currently, now I'm drawing a blank. I can see. Why am I drawing a blank? Oh,
wow. Zach Thong's moving to the area, Wayne.
Oh, nice.
He's moving to Quinny West.
I had the biggest brain fart. Thankfully, I recovered. Currently, I would say Big Wreck.
Adam D.
But
sorry, who?
Big Wreck.
Big Wreck. Nice.
That's because I'm huge. Go ahead.
Have you ever heard of the Glorious Sons? They do
Have not.
They do that the Mama song or the Shotgun song.
I don't know.
Preston was saying Annihilator. Yes, for you metalheads. And a few votes for Triumph.
I have a soft space in my heart for Anvil. I know that's a weird choice, but I just, like, after watching the documentary, I saw that, and I had listened to him years ago, but then I just was like, I have a soft space in my heart. But I like all kinds of stuff, like,
Well, that's the one thing about being a Canadian, and it's kind of neat. I mean, I feel bad for the bands. Like, there's so many great bands up here in Canada. I mean, it's like any place. It's really cold, and what the fuck are you gonna do in the wintertime? Go in the garage and play the guitar or whatever, the heater on with a bunch of your friends, because you can't go do shit anyway.
Yeah.
And it says it paid screw all. That's why we had so many power trios.
I'm a strong believer that the best comedians, in my opinion, or at least some of the most top tier, like, I'm talking 70s, 80s, kind of like
Tasting.
All the ones people thought were Americans, they were all Canadians that just moved here.
Actors, comedians, newscasters.
Yeah,
it was like in the 80s. There were several newscasters.
You were talking about all the guys in LA that hang out together that are all amazing. Half of those guys are Canadian, at least 2 of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the one that, like, it's funny when it shocks me. I find someone that's Canadian, like Ryan Gosling. I didn't know he was from Toronto. I just assumed he was American. I mean, I had no clue.
But you had
says the Tragically Hip.
He's
Our Lady Peace,
but he's also nice.
Yeah, that's true.
But he had to be Canadian.
Like Keanu Reeves is probably our best export. Like that,
I love that guy.
You can't beat him.
I just love his whole ethos, his whole perspective on life. He's like, I don't give a shit. Like, give the $75 million I was supposed to make for this one Matrix movie to the special effects department so they can all get like $100 and some $1,000 bonus. And I'll just take like $500,000 because that's way more money than I need for doing 3 months work anyway. And let me go build motorcycles and the city.
That would be correct, Randy Greer. Voivod is from Montreal.
And then it'd be like, oh, by the way, everybody's got a motorbike in the studio parking lot, right? Because he did that one of the crews or whatever, like the whole everyone in the department, like, not the actors.
All of them won.
They're
every single because I remember they were like, I watched something about it and they're like, well, what about like, the people making, $10-15 an hour, like key grips and stuff. They said, no. If you were on that crew, you got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, we got a few more jumping in here. Lawrence says, wasn't Nazareth Canadian? Well, technically Scottish band, but they relocated to Canada because I know, like, when my sister was living in Kitchener in the late 90s, and I was living there for a period of time, there was like an open mic on Tuesday nights at one of the pubs. It was hosted by 2 of the members of Nazareth. I was just like, really? What? I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's actually a band that I rarely ever hear anybody say when they
Darrell says actually Ireland. My mistake.
Okay.
Ireland.
So hey, Brad Miller's back.
So
who else did I see in here? Gatto. Yep, definitely Canadian. From Scarborough.
Zach
Sheepdogs, yes.
Because I'm just like a guitar junkie. Kim Mitchell and Jeff Healey. To me, that Jeff Healey, when I first saw him, just blew my mind. You know what I mean? And I used to, what was the movie? Roadhouse.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Rewind, wear out. I didn't care because I was renting the movies. I know it's horrible to say, but VHS cassettes, I would just I rent it so I could rewind, watch it, try and see what he's doing, rewind, watch it, then return the tape when it was all stretched out.
It's funny. I remember watching Roadhouse, and getting a kick out of it, growing up. But growing up around musicians, like, it was the one-liners from Jeff Healey that made that movie. I was just crying at something. It was just like, oh, here we go again. It was just like, and you see the whole band all take a step back, even though they're behind the chicken wire type thing. It's like, yep.
And he can't see the beer bottles coming. He's blind. So what a champ.
Yeah.
See, my sister is naming a lot of Canadian bands, but I'm not naming off because she's uber Canadian, so that doesn't count. But when Americans or from elsewhere in the world are commenting on Canadian bands, those ones I'm shouting out here. Just saying.
But yeah, you said like Big Wreck. Two bands that I always try to tell people. One is Big Sugar.
Okay.
Well, the funny thing about Big Wreck is Big Wreck here is considered Canadian because Ian Thornley's Canadian, but he's, I believe, the only Canadian in the band.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I believe.
That happens a lot. There's one dude, the keyboardist.
Well, and the same way we adopted Skid Row when they broke big. We're like, yeah, they're Canadian. Well, no, Sebastian's from the Peterborough area, but the rest of the band's like from New Jersey, New York City area.
I mean, I always find it funny that like Hendrix was the only American in his band. It was his band, but they gave him 2 Brits, and he didn't break in the U.S. People didn't give a shit about him. He broke in London.
Yep.
So it's like a lot of people. I know a lot of people when I for a short period of time lived in England. My ex-wife's English. And I know over there, people have this almost thing like, well, yeah, he's American, but he's kind of our guy. Like they lump Hendrix in as like one of the English, like with Clapton and with Jimmy Page and stuff. They see him as like their dude. Like, yeah, I guess he was born in
nice. But Lawrence throws out Red Rider. Yep, Red Rider that became Tom Cochrane and Red Rider, which became just Tom Cochrane. Even though the band never changed, I was like, really, dude? Like, and that's like by the time he became Tom Cochrane, that's when he really blew up. And I was just so happy. I was like, you must have some form of ego when you still have members of Red Rider in your band, yet, they're gone essentially. I was like, really? Really?
Well, I can never, and like I said, some people sometimes have said I'm like too nice of a guy, but I don't think you can ever be too nice. But anyway, I never understood like without getting into that whole off topic, but let's just say as a gross example, a gross analogy rather, to me, it's like the Sharon Osbourne is to Jakey Lee as anyone else who's a jerk is to the person trying to be nice. Like, listen, I did my job, whatever. And I went back, I was watching yesterday because I'd never watched the whole thing. Or was it? Yeah, I think it was a year and a half ago when he was on with Dave Friedman. They're in the hotel room.
That was epic.
Jake's wife or girlfriend, whatever, she was sitting in the background laughing. And I had never seen Jake Lee in an interview. I mean, I love his guitar playing, but I never realized how intellectually deep that guy is. And I love the fact that he said, I mean, to me, he's like this rock kind of classical musician mentality in our modern time, because he goes, I don't give a shit about the money. He goes, if I can go down and have a couple beers and some smokes and play some guitar and they pay me $50 and my room's already paid for, I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry.
Yep.
But he's like, I don't care. And he goes, he said, and he looks in the camera like this, he goes, Sharon, I don't want the money. Put my name on my song. And that's all he wants.
Yeah.
He's like, I want my name on my music. He goes, I don't want any of the money. And he goes, I will sign in that, video. He gets in the camera and he's like, okay, I'm saying this on camera. I will sign away my rights to any money. However we have to do it. All I want is my name that I wrote that song, the one tune, which, everyone knows.
Wow.
But I found him to be pretty deep. I always, when I heard his music, I thought he was going to be kind of this, just whatever kind of guy. Yeah. But he was getting pretty deep in there, They were getting deep.
I agree. Harley Hex. He's like, here's a Canadian band that's making waves right now. The Suffragettes. Yeah, they're great.
Oh, Devin Townsend. How could I forget?
Good Canadian boy.
I almost got to change my answer now. Okay, that's my additional answer. First time I saw Devin Townsend.
Is he like Canada's Larry Mitchell?
He's like the world's alien. Like, that guy is... I can't. Do you ever watch when the last album he did at his place and they're all up there recording it? And it's really long. You can watch. He's got multiple streams of it. But I sat there for like 2 hours watching it because it's like you're getting to record the album with them.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm tired. We're gonna go get coffee and just chat for 45 minutes. But it's like you can see like they needed that 45 minutes, and then he's like, oh, I know what idea we're gonna do there. And then they go back and they do like the first take. And it's this orchestral thing, and he's like this far all over the neck, and then he's on, he's doing this melodic stuff, but all of it fits. None of it's overplaying. It's like when he does a fast line,
sure, Dave.
4 notes per string. It's like for effect. It's not to show you I can do that because everyone knows he can do it. But my first exposure to him, I don't know if you guys remember that, but my first exposure was when he had the crazy haircut on the Vi Sex and Religion tour. And I saw them it was in Baltimore at a small club, Baltimore, Maryland. And I was literally behind the barricade, and it was a small club. So they weren't even raised up. I think they gave them a 12-inch riser there. And it was the smallest little club. I'm trying to think of the name. Anyway, I was literally like, he was sweating on me all night. It was probably 3 or 4 feet. And every line Steve Vai played, he started harmonizing the lines while he's singing the vocals. And then Steve does this big like tap line he does during that opening song, Here and Now. I can't sing well, so I'm not going to sing it, but he does the Here and Now. And then he does the and then he does this arpeggio with tap. So there's Devin, he goes, and Devin's guitar, he's got a Vi, the white gem, and it's like this low.
Right.
And it doesn't matter that it's this low because his hand's like this, and he's like, and they get to the Here and Now, and he goes, bam, 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 and then Devin starts going, like better than Vi. Steve shoots him a look like, yeah, no, this is my show. And Devin just laughs, and his dreadlocks go everywhere, and he's right on pitch with the next vocal. Never missed a note the whole night. And afterwards, the guy looked like he ran a marathon. Like he's sitting there.
I'll just answer Dave here. I would be more than happy to join Dave. So what we'll do is we'll go till about 10 to 10. And so, Dave, if you want to go live at 10, just send me the link through Messenger, and I'll jump off here and jump into there.
You're working for it tonight.
It's like doing the stand-up comedy thing, doing a set at this place, doing a set at this place.
Lawrence said that was his first exposure to Devin as well, and it was friggin' crazy stuff. It was like one of those experiences, like, wow,
So Bill Spruce says Honeymoon Suite, greatest Canadian band ever. They're pretty good.
Yep.
I was huge fan.
Oh, Zach Thong said Jakey Lee's singer Darren Smith is Canadian. That guy's a hell of a
from Oshawa. He was formerly I guess still currently the drummer for Harum Scarum.
Oh, cool.
I'm not sure. Terry's saying that Tragically Hip and the Bandic Ladies are one of the #1 Canadian, but it's actually Sum 41. Sum 41.
Oh, really?
So more albums than any other. They're way up there by a lot.
Wow.
Beyond
yeah,
Nickelback
because they don't count Bryan Adams as a band, even though it was for years the Bryan Adams band.
So it's counted solo artist, and it's a different category.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kind of thing. But really, when you think about it, like, come on, Bryan Adams in the 80s, he was huge globally. Like, he was huge in Canada. And then by the mid-80s, broke in the US. And then by the end of the 80s, with like that Robin Hood song and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was in.
Then he went from like, hey,
that was global stuff right there.
Like,
well, I think
Mr. Grammy music guy, that's what it was.
Well, I think the appeal too was like they could play it anywhere, because even if it was a poppy song, which at the time I wouldn't be caught dead listening to a poppy one of his songs, it still had a great guitar solo.
Cheers, Harley.
I would sit there and say, yeah, okay, this is a chick tune, but okay, here comes the solo. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure, yeah.
I think there was something for everyone. Like, even my mother would listen to him back then, and that was not her kind of music. She was listening to like the Carpenters still, at that point.
Sure. Yeah, it was. I thought, like, he was big in Canada, but when he did that song with Tina Turner, like, I went, oh, okay, type thing. Like, and that's when I think he had started working with David Foster around that time. I think they worked together.
Yeah.
Or there was like Foster or Fairburn or one of those guys. Like, he was tied in where he was working with the hit makers alongside everyone else type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brad Miller says Mayhem needs to move his mic closer to his mouth.
Yeah, I adjusted it.
All right, just saying. That's quite all right, BC Rich. He's like, I know this is blasphemous, but he caught the hip and he ding. Hey, blasphemous is like, the rest in peace, Gord Downey, their singer. Everyone thinks of him as a god, but weak link in that band, as far as I'm concerned with that band. Like, they were a great band regardless of him. And I think they probably would have broken big elsewhere had they not, in spite, because Gord was writing such uniquely Canadian based stuff that like it embraced us as a nation, but it really alienates you otherwise.
But seeing Gord a lot, I mean, when he was sick and he was going away, I felt bad because a lot of people watched that. That wasn't representation of what he was like at his prime. And again, he had a long career, but when Gord put on a show, I mean, the Tragically Hip was my high school what do you call it, rock band. There's two bands, Bottoms Up and Tragically Hip. They were like the high school kids playing on the stage.
Like a buddy of mine that gigged around Ontario all through the 80s, 90s, but he never really made it out of the bar into the club. He got into some clubs, but he summed it up when the band played their last song. He goes like, they were the best Stones cover band I ever saw.
But
when he said that, I'm like, yeah, you can see a lot of the Stones in what they did. Yes, thanks, Dave. I did see that. Awesome.
Yeah, but when Gord put on a show in his prime, I mean, he gave off a vibe that's almost undescribable. Like the way he talked to the crowd, and I mean, these guys did like kind of been like what you did. Like when they first started off, they'd pull up on to be on a hay wagon with amps stuffed on it and wires running through hay bales and stuff. They would play to play. And they put on an awesome show, and they covered a couple of songs. I remember them doing REM, but they just weren't my kind of music when I was younger. I didn't appreciate them.
Yeah, like I always thought the hip as like Canada's REM in many ways at that time, because both singers had long curly hair at the time, and then they both, then they lost the hair, and I was like, I'm out, for both bands, kind of thing, because they both lost a step. But it is funny because even. And the funny thing about Canadian music, and Tom touched on when you watch the Inville document, there's no money in Canadian music.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because you think a tenth of the population, a tenth of the album sales, you know, a hit here as opposed to a hit there.
It's a shame.
Just basic economics. So
musicians.
I remember when we reformed the band Smile Harder, because I was sitting in as a secondary guitar player, I was really going for a Gord Sinclair sound. Gord Sinclair being one of the two guitar players from the Hip. Right. And I say, yeah, you know, I'm kind of dialing in. And Richie's like, you know, there's a real easy way to do it. I was like, oh, he goes, have you been on the old Kijiji lately? Like, yeah. He goes, well, you know that Marshall half stack sitting there. I said, yeah, the one out of Kingston. He goes, yeah, that's Gord's.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was selling gear because they bought new gear for that final tour 5 years ago or whatever it was. And it was like, yeah, that was the Marshall half stack that he had lugged around forever and a day, or at least one of them. You know, he ran two of them on stage, what have you. But I was like, oh, okay.
The other thing that the Tragic Hip did, and it's more of the musicianship and the kind of like what you're talking about, Keanu Reeves with the key grips.
It looks like Lawrence just headed out.
But
See
the
you,
Tragic Hip was famously known for taking care of bands. Sometimes they go to a festival and they'd go hear a band play, and then they go to a 2 or 3 weeks later they may show up at that bar. They wouldn't play, but I heard they would pay them they'd be like, Ben knows, like, you get $100 each. They're like, you guys should be playing at a bigger venue. Here's a producer. You know, if you need any help, come to our studio in Kingston. I mean, they were. And then the other thing too,
they've done so many demos. They charge. Well, what they'll do is they'll charge more to those that can afford to pay it, to allow local bands to come in and do a demo at a couple $100 an hour, and they're supplying facilities and an engineer to record and run the equipment. So, you know, you can't go wrong for that. And that's Canadian. So $150 US, we'll say, an hour, you know, like, and it's a great little studio. The Bathhouse is a great little studio. Yeah. I haven't had a chance to go inside, but I've seen enough photos. It was on the short list when we were looking at recording the album with One Day to Live. Both proximity, but then
we should put that on the bucket list, Ben, to go there for the YouTube with the camera.
Yeah, we should do that. Yeah, but then when I discovered that, you know, Metalworks had the Neve console, I'm like, I want to record in the Neve.
Sure.
Why? I'm like, doesn't matter what you play, it's going to sound good.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I was watching a video today, and guy was talking about Burkasti reverb units, you know, $4,000 reverb units, and he's trying to explain to people that it was Michael Nielsen, you know, if anyone watches, you know, he does big hairy guitars. But he was explaining, he's like, that's what I do for a living. Like, I do orchestral, I don't know if you guys know, I'm sure you do, but like, you know, movie, TV stuff he does, you know, from studio. And he's got a real cool one a while ago, because I always watch him. And I know I was watching, Dave Friedman was on, I think, Pete Thorne's show last year. And he said, check out this guy. That's how I saw him. And he's like, you know, he's a friend of mine, checking him out. And not only is he a great player, but that guy's got all the best 80s gear. And he's got like every Friedman amp, and he's got all this stuff. But he's like, the problem is, if you're competing with another big LA studio, you got to buy the Burkasti, because they have one. It's like Ben saying with the Neve. Why did all studios buy Neves? Not because that engineer, it was every engineer's favorite. I'm sure it was a lot of engineers' favorite, but you had to have the Neve, or, you know, or they'd go to the studio that had the Neve.
Yeah, and that was what happened with like Triumph, you know, and like right after that, Van Halen, same situation. They got sick of whatever reason recording elsewhere, and they just said, screw it, we're going to make our own studio. And I think they built that studio late 70s, early 80s. And, you know, you got a Neve, right? Yeah. And that's what you did. And that board is still in, you know, and that's when I found out. At first I thought the studio was just one studio. And then when I found out there was 4 studios at Metalworks, I'm like, make sure it's Studio A, you know. And our manager, he's like, why? I'm like, Studio A, Neve, you know. It's like, what the hell is the Neve? You know, and I'm like, make sure we get the Neve. And I was like, all right. Yeah. Welcome back, Doug, and see you, Charles. Hey, Truth Guitar Method. Good to see you. I
love the video of when Dave Grohl bought the Neve console and pulled it out through the window, and they're just assembling it. I'm like, okay, if I had that kind of rock star money, that is one thing I'd probably do: buy like an original console like that and get it all fixed up. Like, just
exactly, find a studio that's closing down. and get a board. You know, if you got to refurbish it, you know, you're still going to be into it no more than the cost of a new one, except it's old and cool, and who knows what's been recorded through those channels.
And just to see underneath that everything literally is like point to point wired, like every single piece, you know, and that, you know, they're talking about, Rupert Neve coming himself, like for the original ones, you know, if you're buying one and it was 300 grand, that he'd come over for a week and set it all up for you and even fine tune stuff. Oh, this resistor needs to be a little more here. And then, you know,
Yep.
Literally set up each channel so that, you know, they were in spec with each other.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Love
Speaking of Dave Grohl, I watched the other day where it was they had Lemmy on stage with Slash and Dave. Yeah, those guys were just like, it's, you know, that Slash and to Dave, Lemmy is a god to them, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter that they're them, right?
Yeah.
Just to see, you know, them kind of like fanboying over him, like he's gonna sing. Awesome. That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. That's awesome. Oh yeah, Sound City. That's the name of it. Thank you, William DeSilva said Sound City. That was the documentary.
Yeah, that was awesome. I can't even tell you how many I've watched that doc 10 times.
Oh, I'll just put a part of it on and then just keep watching. Like,
yeah, I've gone down through many a Dave Grohl rabbit hole on YouTube because he doesn't do as much now, but a few years ago he put out a lot of content. You know, making a lot of self-made docs. Like every album had a doc. Random docs like Sound City, you know, and he's got that zest like all of us do. He's a gear nerd.
Yeah.
He's just the same dork that he was at 17, and he's never lost that, thankfully. And you know, it's like he's the guy you want to have a beer with, like Like,
plus, I think
how many times have you heard like Dave Grohl say, you know, I apologize to Topeka, Kansas, because I had 5 beers instead of 4 before going on stage, and I didn't do my best, and you know, because he's like, I like to get loaded, but not too loaded before I play, you know, even at this age, and you know, how many times, you know, at least twice, well documented times, he's fallen off stage and injured himself, you know, and the show must go on regardless.
He also started the whole YouTube sensation of like the Ace Face guy that gets on stage and they play with the Foo Fighters. That was not a thing till Dave Grohl did that. I mean, obviously that I'm sure there's a little bit of pre-setup on that, but he's done it like a bunch of times, and of course other bands do it now all the time too. But he also kicked that off. But that was just because he's a genuine dude. Like, what do you mean, motherfucker? It's your birthday. You really think you're gonna come up here and play a Foo Fighters song on one of our, like, on my guitar? And the guy, you know, obviously pulled it off and did right on the stage and all that. But yeah, he's a super cool dude. But that's
I think my favorite doc of theirs was they did the contest where Foo Fighters would come and play at your play in your garage, or that was the theme.
Yeah,
and you know, they went around, including the one guy just outside of Toronto, which was, that one's hilarious because he's such a super fan. But the fact that it's not like they just wheel in, play the set, and leave. Like, they're there all day. Yeah. If you have a pool, guess what? It's going to smell like musician after it because the whole band is hanging out, you know, and that's great because the rest of the band, they're a bunch of great guys, you know, like, sure, Pat's off in the corner, probably smoking, just, you know, sneering at everybody, judging the world, but, you know, you got to have that too. Yeah. Are you going to go in the pool? Maybe. I'll think about it.
Much sunlight.
Yeah.
And I guess Dave's really good friends with Geddy Lee, right? They're like he's like, if he finds
Wayne, you know, the last time we were at Cosmo, we just missed it because Geddy and Alex were both at Cosmo for separate reasons. Originally, it was set up just Geddy Lee was there for a book signing, and Dave Grohl flies into Toronto to act as Geddy's chauffeur for the day.
Wow.
Yeah, so he, like, you see the SUV roll up, because I saw footage after the fact, rolls up, you know, SUV, tinted windows. Dave Grohl gets out from behind the wheel, opens the door. Geddy Lee gets out, you know, like.
Right.
And then Alex, I guess, wanted to show up for the event too. So Dave went and picked up Alex.
Nice.
Yeah, we were all standing around at Cosmo, like, why is this black van here? Like, everybody's freaking out. So I'm just gonna. Ben and I are like, nah, it's nobody. And it was like we had to stay another 10 minutes, so it would have been Geddy and Dave. So, but.
Well, I knew something was up, but I knew the way security was acting. I was like, we can't be where we are because we were like 2-3 feet from the vehicle driver's side. So that wasn't an option.
But there were a lot of people there that day for the book signing. I totally forgot because I was so into that was my first time going to Cosmos. So I was like just pumped to go.
It was not a day to go to a book signing because it was hot and humid. The amount of books I saw, people walking around with sweaty hands, like leaving marks all over the book, smearing the autograph, or in the food court, people leaving the book on the table. I'm like, do you know how many condiments were probably spilled on that table? Like,
and kids' boogers.
Yep, that's for sure. Always that.
Yeah, Doug. I'm always like that when black vehicles show up. Yes, I have a history with that. Yes. But it happens. Actually, yeah, that Cosmo event was cool because I remember, I think you, Wayne, you were hanging out with Hack and Six String Brian for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I wander off for a couple minutes. I come back. He's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, Greg Godovich. Like, who? I'm like, Gatto, as in the Gatto band. You're like, really? I'm like, yeah, that's him right there. He's all short and old looking, like Peter Frampton. And I was like, yeah, that's Greg Godovich.
Yeah, plus they had, I mean, we were there and we had our own agenda, but there was a great venue. The food court was awesome. The food there was amazing. And the music was awesome the whole time we were there because it had
sure, it's 1/5 the size of Sweetwater's Gear Fest, except the difference is there's a music festival free as well right next door. So it was, of course, being Canadian, you got to hit it every other year because one year iconic acts, worldwide iconic, like the first year George Lynch is doing a clinic, Richie Kotzen played a set. Who else was there? Doug Aldrich was hanging out. April Wine played a set.
Yeah.
And then the next year when we went together, it's all Canadian artists like Sloan, Chilliwack, and like really like all your county fair headliners type thing. But it was still cool because it's like 6 cool Canadian bands. But I was like, yeah, you wait till next year, but unfortunately it was canceled. So hopefully the next one is going to be phenomenal for a lineup because like Richie Kotzen was amazing to play because he just, outside of playing in Toronto, he doesn't play around Canada much. So,
well, I feel kind of semi-spoiled for Canadian music because even Belleville didn't get as much playtime as Kingston did, and Kingston's got a name. Like, there's many bands that are like Bryan Adams is from Kingston, the Glorious Sons are from Kingston, the Headstones. The lead singer, he's a movie actor too, but they're from Kingston. The Hip.
I like how he takes credit for Bryan Adams. Yeah, that was interesting.
Hey, he's born and raised, the same as Don Cherry.
Born, not raised.
Oh, sorry, born.
Yeah. He actually the most time he spent growing up in Canada was Vancouver because that's where he ended up from like age 13, 14 on, because then he joined the band Sweeney Todd at the end of their career.
If you're born in Kingston like hockey was, then we tend to own you.
Yeah.
So Ben, I have a mystery for you to figure out here. I'm trying to figure out because it's out of context and I have no idea what they're talking about.
All right.
Susie Cherry is saying to Bill Spruce, here's all I can give you. She's saying, not necessarily, hun. Chesapeake Bay will do. And plus, you're overlooking the size of that bulldozer. The sea is not that far. Laugh out loud. Then further down, BC Rich 581 says, Bill Spruce, I just want to blow up the Metro, or at least DuPont Circle. I'd settle for blowing that one up. Now, here's the best part. A little bit further down, Susie responds to him and says, oh, no, I can't find it. Wait, give me 1 second. It's worth it. Oh, so she says, Bill Spruce says to Susie, look, I live just a mile from the bay, and I would appreciate you not stinking it up. And so Susie then says, okay, Bill, I'll take a detour. Can you get anything of what they were talking about?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's some kind of reference to a movie.
Maybe.
Hopefully they're going to post what it is because I'm intrigued.
I could say, but we'd be instantly demonetized.
Oh, okay. So Blackjack's okay. All right. Blackjack Guitar Nut explained it. Okay. I thought it was some sort of inside joke or something. I was just curious. So I guess if it was an inside joke, they wouldn't have told us anyway. But
well, they're loving it.
That's one thing that's awesome about the Sunday show and the Monday show is half the time when you're in the chat. I mean, I got to remember to ask somebody a question for Ben once in a while because I'm too busy watching the chat.
But there's so much funny stuff going on in the chat. It's hilarious. Like I'm just like listening to what you guys are saying. Then I'm like, don't stink up the bay. Like what's going? When you get it out of context, it's so much funnier. Just read like one line and you'll just be laughing hysterically. You know.
Well, there we are.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail everything.
That's all right. Because, Laz show up, our Hungarian homie.
What's up, Laz?
We're going to go for another 5 minutes or so, and then I'm going to hop on over to Dave Nesdall's channel. So everyone should hop on over with me after that. We'll invade Nesdall's channel.
Terry, post the link down below.
Nesdall raid.
Yeah, doing Nesdall raid. Should be fun.
I was thinking of Laz. I was listening the other day to classical music, and I specifically only geared myself. I wanted to listen to Hungarian classical musicians. And I've come to the estimation, and it's not only because my dad's side of the family's from the closest area. They're from parts of the Ukraine, which is the closest to Hungary as far as that era of classical music. And I think Hungarian composers are my favorite. I know everyone likes everyone's like, about the big two or big three or big.
Is it fashionably late at this point? Like we're wrapping up in a few minutes. He ate 2 pizza rolls, did 4 loads of laundry, dusted and changed his bedding. What'd he miss? Everything, Aaron. Unfortunately.
Oh, I'm jealous. Pizza rolls are so good. 4 loads of laundry. That's what I need to do.
I had a nice roast chicken dinner tonight. Sunday dinner.
Nice. I had real Mexican food with my parents for lunch. There's a place near us called Casa Herrera, and it's legit
Mexican food.
Legit Mexican food, and it's weird because normally there you wait 40 minutes to get a table, and we were one of 6 people eating there because you got to be like way spaced out, and the maximum occupancy is 51 people per restaurant. Even if it's a wide open football field, 51 people is all they'll allow.
Boom, there's the link. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah, Mexican food around here is not so much, but man, we have some awesome Indian food. If you like Indian food at all,
I love Indian food.
Good. Or there's some good Thai places. What's
I
the one that does all the noodle soups?
Pho.
Yeah, pho.
Yeah, I love pho.
There's one right by the bus stop, the main bus stop hub. It's a little just like in a hole in the wall. And man, get stuffed off a bowl of soup and all the pre-order. Like usually get spring rolls and a bunch of other stuff. But I'm like, you're stuffed by the time you have that soup. I'm like,
I get pho from my local place, which is like one Vietnamese family that was first generation in the United States family, and it's legit, like straight up legit Vietnamese food. It's like everything you want. Like the daughter takes the orders because she's the only one that speaks English.
Yeah,
like, okay, it's gonna be good then. And every time I go, one pho like dish lasts me 2 meals. That's how big it is, and it's like $12, and they give you like, I swear it's huge. It's in all these separate containers, but it would fill like a 5-gallon bucket almost. It's a lot.
Well, we were going to this place, and I don't know what it's called. Sorry, because the name of it's just in a weird location. I don't know what it's called, but you walk in, it's all windows, right? Up some stairs. But we were going there. We'd probably eat there once a month. Buddy and I would go to Kingston, and we'd probably go there once a month because it's cheap too. It was like, I think you got a drink and bowl of noodles and like 5 spring rolls, whatever, and it was like $5. Like,
wow.
Like. And you're full when you leave, right? I'm like, how are you full? Anyway, we go there for quite a while, but once a month. And my buddy Matt comes with us, and he says something to the girl, and I'm like, hey, you speak Vietnamese, man? Like, what the heck was that? He goes, oh, it just means I want it really spicy. Like, he's like, don't give me whatever the message was I don't want the Kingston, Ontario white guy spicy version. I want like what your dad's gonna eat spicy version.
You better be ready to ask for it, though. I've done that.
Oh my God! it wasn't the hottest thing I've ever had, like as far as crazy chicken wings and all that stuff, but it was hot. Like, I mean, like hours later, I'm like, whew, remember that? That was damn hot.
Yeah, that kind of stuff's a different kind of
hot.
It's
like it's like settles into your heat versus like, you know, it's hot and your nose gets all runny and it's like you're sweating
like
a little bit.
Hot butter melts into your skin.
See you, Fruitcake Tony. Have a good night, man.
Hey, lad.
Yeah, I asked once. I made a mistake of asking once, like at a Thai restaurant. I said for an 8 out of 10, but I said your 8 out of 10, and I said, well, I want your hottest, like 10 out of 10. They said we won't serve that because we had someone go to the hospital and they weren't. They were not clean. The person touched their eye and it blew up like they went to the hospital.
Sure.
They won't do it. I said, what's the highest you'll do? And they said, we will do our 8 out of 10. I went through 2 like half-gallon things of water, and then I asked them and they gave me like milk and they gave me like yogurt, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't eat this. I got it to go and I went home and I iced my mouth.
So my buddy tried to pull a prank on me. A store around here is called Country Traditions. Ben knows it. You buy basically bulk kind of frozen food and a bit of kind of restaurant-y food, and they have basically everything's, it's called it's like frozen food. There's lots of freezers and stuff. Anyway, he gave me a bag of Country Traditions, you know, wings. They're like flash frozen. They're already cooked. You just put them in the oven and basically unthaw them, right? And warm them up. But he put in like 1 million Scoville kind of like wings in our like I think it was like some kind of like, it was like, I don't think it was ghost pepper, but it was some kind of weird pepper thing.
Like Carolina Reaper.
I don't know what it was like.
Carolina Reaper, Carolina Reaper, the hottest pepper.
So he gives me the bag, right? And he goes, "Yeah, my buddy couldn't eat them because he said they're just too hot." So I kind of expected them to be hot, and then I seen him like a week later, and he goes, "How are those wings, man?" I'm like, because we said we both try them out, right? And I'm like, well, I had 6 of them, and the last one was kind of cold by the time I finished it, but it was really good. He goes, "You ate them all?" Like all 6 of them? I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "At once?" Like, I'm like, "Yeah," but it was pretty hot.
Wow, you must be like, yeah, I'm not at that level. I think the Carolina Reaper's it's somewhere between 1 and 3 million, I think, on Scoville units.
It varies too, right? You know.
Yeah. There's a documentary on YouTube about I don't want to go off this trail right at the end here, but I'll give you a short version. There's a documentary on YouTube about a guy that grows them, and the guy used to be a drug addict.
Yeah, the Petross guy.
The only way he stays clean now is he develops he crossbreeds them like they do with cannabis.
Sure.
He gets the phenotype with the strongest Scoville unit, and he, you know, gets it measured scientifically, and then he breeds that with his next hottest one, and he keeps pulling the most potent phenotypes. Yeah. And I think he has a Reaper now that's up to 5 or 6 million Scoville on one, and he's like the only human that can take that many. But he pops them and it gives him this little high. And he said,
I'm a big fan of Hot Ones. With Sean, him hosting all the interviews and stuff. The Hot Ones Wing Challenge. Yeah. But that's his buddy, the guy that made Pepper Axe and.
Yep. That guy's amazing. He's so interesting. And he stays outside for like 14 hours a day. Like he's addicted to
he's even touching the plant. Like it's gotta be like chilly all the time, right? Like he
sleeps out with his peppers sometimes. The guy's like nutty in a cool way.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there we are.
And
on that note, I'd say we went pretty deep tonight. Tom, brother man, do you have anything to add?
No, man, just thank you. Well, thank both of you gentlemen, and thank you to the moderators and, you know, Sandra and Terry and everyone else. I can't see all the moderators now, but doing a great job. And just thank you for having me on. So I've had a great time. That's it.
Definitely a great time. Mayhem.
Just thanks. Make sure you like and subscribe down below.
100%.
You know.
And once again, what was that for Aaron? We'll show off that little, what was you wanted to show off there?
I'll pull it out again. This is from today. Literally, I clipped it this afternoon. I don't know if you can tell, but the ends are all purple because we're getting really cold. That's from when you have very cold nights and very warm days, and it smells. Oh my God! Wow.
And cousin Doug texted me. Those that watch the NAS Canuck show, we will be going on at an earlier time to be determined due to work schedules.
What strain is that?
That is. Oh, that is Cinderella 99.
Oh,
Hey.
I love Cindy 99.
Thank you, Laz.
2 of those.
Appreciate the super sticker.
Oh, nice, Laz.
So there we have it. Thanks everybody that tuned in. Our newest channel member, who I believe is Bill Spruce, PP Alec. Good to see you, man. Again, if you want to become a channel member, there's a link button thing right down below next to the subscribe, which is awesome. Really helps me keep on doing what I'm doing. Thanks everybody that tuned in tonight. New, returning, those who donated. I'll be back tomorrow night with Canucks with Guitars. Terry put a link in the chat earlier. Maybe you can put it again at the end here. Everyone head over to David Nesdall's channel. I'm about to join him in about, 5 minutes whenever he goes live.
Me too.
And I got enough time to do a quick trip to the room and then do another round. So,
refresh.
Thanks, everyone. Hold those doors open. Let that guy in ahead of you in traffic, because it's always a guy. It's always a guy. Do good things. Good things will happen to you. Karma is real. He's living the dream. That guy's living the dream. I'm living the dream. I hope you are too. Cheers. Rock on. Be good to each other, folks. And that's all I got. I don't know.